We do these events once a month, and they're called Learning Before Earning events. Last month we brought in Manti Te'o, and a lot of you guys were here for that. It was a really, really special night. He's got an incredible message to share, and I'm really, really excited about tonight's keynote speaker. He also has an amazing message to share, and Jeff has become a really close friend over these last few years, and he's just a treat to learn from and to listen to. And so if you've got notepads, make sure you get them out. If not, grab your phone. Jeff has a lot of wisdom and knowledge to share. And so I promise you that before the night is over, you will become a better person because of this experience. And so without further ado, I want to introduce Jeff Mendez. Jeff Mendez is a husband and father of 5. He was born and raised in Puerto Rico. He moved to the U.S. at age 18. He's among the most influential business leaders in Utah. He was a key leader in helping Vivint Smart Home become a public company. He served as Vivint's VP of Sales from 2006 to 2020. His core strengths are team building, culture development, implementing systems and processes for scaling, and wealth education. He's a Harvard Executive Ed graduate. He's an investor, owner, and board member in many successful companies. Vineyards Management, Gabb Wireless, Pura, Cup Bop, who is recently on Shark Tank, Star BBQ, Chom Burger, Sisu, and several others. He enjoys watching his kids play sports, traveling, mentoring up-and-coming leaders in his community, and giving back. And so, guys, I want you to give a warm welcome to our guest, Jeff Mendez. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Appreciate you making it up.
Is this working? Can you guys hear okay? It was kind of muffled over there. Is this clear? Is it good? Okay.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, so we'll go for about 45 minutes.
It feels a little romantic with the lights this way. Is that the intention? Or it's Halloween, I don't know. It's either Valentine's Day or Halloween, I don't know.
That was the intention. That's the design. Okay, we'll go for about 45 minutes, and then guys, we actually want to open it up for questions from the crowd. So we'll do some Q&A at the end, and so we'll jump right in. Mendez, first question I want to start with is leadership. Leadership, it's influence, nothing more, nothing less. And I look at the influence that you have just in your community, like it's huge. Like I'm looking at all these different companies and just like the way that people dress, the way that people talk, like the black clothes, the chains, the shoes, everything. Like you've had a pretty big influence and impact just on this space, on this community, and you've mastered that art. And so, open that up for us a bit. Talk about influence and leadership.
Okay, so a lot of unpacking. Anyway, I know everybody's super busy. I appreciate everybody being here. When these things happen, it's not going to be up to me or Nathaniel to crack open whatever needs to be cracked open, but everybody here tonight's here for a reason. So I'd probably start off with just close your eyes and for 5 seconds, think of what you want to get out of tonight. Just 5 seconds. Close your eyes and just materialize that, crystallize that. Close your eyes and say, I want to get this out of tonight. Just take 5 seconds, close your eyes. Go ahead and open them, and if that can be accomplished tonight, it was successful. I'm not responsible for any training tonight. You're responsible for your own training. There's gonna be content delivery, and hopefully something makes sense. If you pull one thing out of tonight, it was a worthwhile night. And again, I know everybody's super busy, tons going on, a lot of noise out there, but right now, let's be present. You're gonna be tempted to check your Instagram, check your Twitter, check a whole bunch of different things. There's a gift in life which is called being present. So can we all be present tonight? And let's learn together. We're going to learn together, okay? So leadership is influence, nothing less, nothing more. And sometimes there's brand ambassadors and there's brand terrorists in different companies or organizations. So what I try to do is try to figure out, okay, who's leading for good and who's leading for bad? Because sometimes the most powerful leaders are the ones that are doing things to go against the culture that you're trying to create. So in leadership, there's something called awareness. And awareness is understanding your energy and other people's energy and what can be accomplished together with that energy, if that makes sense. So leadership is influence, nothing less, nothing more. A very low level of leadership is title leadership. Vice president, regional manager, all these fancy titles that we can come up with. A title's a title, doesn't mean anything. When a true leader speaks, the people listen. So be a person of influence, and in leadership, well done is way more powerful than well said. People don't care what we say, people care what we do. Not just when we're on stage, but more importantly, what does that leader do when nobody is watching? I've seen a lot of people that care more about their reputation than their character. Somebody tell me, I can see hands. Somebody raise your hand and you tell me what you think reputation is versus what character is. Raise your hand. Go ahead. Loud and clear.
Character is what you do when nobody's watching. Reputation is when everybody's watching.
Yeah, so beautiful. So reputation is what people think I am. Character is what I truly am. So please let's us be more concerned about our character than our reputation. If we take care of the character, the reputation will be there. And another thing, if we want to be free and we want to have influence, we can't care about what other people think of us, because then you won't be you. I dress the way I dress because that's how I feel comfortable. And if people want to dress and mimic, that's cool, but I'm not doing it for that purpose. I didn't even notice it till you mentioned it. But yeah, some of you guys are wearing hats. That's cool. But hopefully this is making sense. Influence is your character, it's your awareness, and it's your ability to show empathy. There's sympathy and there's empathy. Empathy is a fancy word for I can help understand what I can try to understand what that person is going through. So in sales and business and leadership, the more we can show empathy, meaning we understand the other side's point of view, the more powerful leaders we will be. Is that helpful? Okay.
I love that. So, Jeff, a follow.
And then let me add. To have influence, you also have to be a value creator. Okay? And the more value we create in life, the more abundance we will have. Life, business, friendships, etc. should be, I'm in this relationship, I'm in this business to give, not to get. Because if I'm focused on the giving, what's going to happen with the receiving? It'll be there. I can't control what people give me. I cannot. But I can control what I give. So I'm going to focus on me, my value creation, and what I do to create value for people. And I know that if I can create massive amounts of value, I will have massive amounts of return on investment. But I don't get into a relationship wanting to get something. If it happens, it happens. It can be beautiful. But if I'm going with the intent to get a certain something out of a relationship, it's not going to work out. Even in marriage, if you say 50-50, I bring 50, you bring 50, dysfunctional marriage. I bring 100, you bring 100, we meet with our 100.
Round of applause for that. That was beautiful. I appreciate the response on that. So, Jeff, next thing I want to ask is this. You know, great leaders, I feel that they have an ability to help others connect to vision, to purpose. And so I want to talk for a moment about connecting to vision, connecting to purpose. You know, how does that have such an influence and an impact on the effort, on the results that come when we are connected to vision, when we are connected to purpose?
Okay, biblically speaking, where there is no vision, what happens to the people?
Perish.
People perish. It's cliche, but it's real. In life, when we don't have a clear vision of what we want to accomplish, it's kind of murky, it's kind of foggy, right? There's a little bit of fog of war in there. Now, we don't have to be absolutist with what our vision is. Sometimes we don't know the exact answers, but at least we have a guiding light. We have a true north. We have some sort of principle that we're chasing. But if we're not living our lives by design, by default, we're living somebody else's lives. And we're just that puppet, and there's a puppeteer that's mastering our life, right? So the more intentional we are with our life's purpose and with our vision, the more we'll be able to be fulfilled. And that goes in multiple categories, right? Our social category, our physical category, our intellectual category, our spiritual category, everything. So I try to always have a clear vision, but I also know that there's 26 letters in the alphabet, so if plan A doesn't work, I'm okay with plan B. And I've heard quotes and I've seen memes, oh, there is no plan B. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, there's always a plan B. You should have a plan B. You should have a way that you can pivot out of a vision that may not make sense today. Because we're evolutionizing as human beings. I'm not the same person I was yesterday. When people say to me, oh, you've changed, thank goodness, because I'm supposed to change. I'm supposed to grow. That's the essence of life. But we have to have a vision. So maybe do this to help crystallize this, because the way we learn in these meetings is by breaking the nervous system, by rearranging some of the wiring that we have in our nervous system. So talk to your neighbor right now and elaborate on what vision means to you and why having a vision is so imperative in life. Go ahead and talk to your neighbors. And just talk to your neighbor. I don't care if you're just meeting them for the first time, but explain the importance of vision. Okay, we'll bring it back. So work on that vision. And another thing that I say all the time is you will never outperform. You guys with me again? You will never outperform what you can envision. And my advice is you need to create a crazy vision. If your vision doesn't scare your mom, your dad, your wife, your husband, your friends, your friend group, if your vision isn't scary to them, you need to work on that vision and you need to create a crazier, bigger vision. So for me, all the time I do self-inventory. I do priming literally every single day where I'm trying to train my brain and my body to get uncomfortable, to think bigger. And in that priming, I often tell myself, I deserve more. I can get more. Not because I'm not covetous, but so that I can create more and give more. Because again, it's all about giving. The secret of life is giving. It's not getting. I promise you that. If you ever feel in the dumps, one way to get out of the dumps immediately is go serve somebody else. Go help somebody else. And that anxiety, that depression, that lull will go away. Okay? But your vision needs to be crazier than you think about it today. Our vision has to be nuts, right? Because you won't in physicality do more than what you're able to envision. It's the law of the two creations. This building, for instance, was created at least twice, right? When was the first time this building was created? How did it get created? Okay, blueprint, somebody's imagination, okay? And they drew it out. And then what was the second creation? What was the second creation? Don't be shy. The actual brick and mortar, the building, the labor, so forth and so on. So let me ask you this. Whoever designed this building, did they put bricks together, cinder blocks together and be like, oh wow, there's actually a basketball court in here. How did that appear? Oh wow, there's a bathroom upstairs and a bathroom downstairs and there's 2 refrigerators. This is pretty damn cool. This is crazy. I had no idea it was going to turn up like this. Does the architect know exactly what this building is going to look like before it actually happens in actuality? So why don't we do that with our lives? We got to live our life by design, not by default. Again, if we don't spend time on our vision and we don't architect it and we don't build it out and make it beautiful, we're either not living life to its fullest or we're living somebody's life. But we're all CEOs in this room. We're all CEOs of our life, or of our own lives. But it has to come with a vision. Does that make sense what I'm saying? And then a lot of you guys are in sales and doing the sales thing and everything. You have to have a vision and you have to have a why. The bigger the why, the easier the how's every single day. If your why isn't big enough, you're not going to be able to go battle those doors on a daily. It takes 7 no's on a door it takes an average of 7 no's per door to get a yes. If you have a weak vision, a weak why, objection number 1 or no number 1, say I'm not interested or get off my doorstep, you're done, you're toast. You're not going to be able to go through the other 6. So your vision has to be amazing, strong. You have to keep working at it. You gotta keep building it, and then your hows will come together. That make sense?
I love that. I love that. Thank you.
Is this helping? Okay. So right now, again, talk to your neighbor and tell your neighbor what you've learned so far from the 2 questions we've gone over. Talk to your neighbor. What have you learned? Okay, the reason why we're sharing is so it's active learning, so we record it. I've gone over this with a lot of you guys. I see some familiar faces out in the crowd. If you know the answer, because I've gone over it with you, don't answer it. Don't spoil it. But knowledge is what? Knowledge is potential. It's not power. The application of knowledge is power. So if we leave today in a very dormant state, meaning we're just kind of sitting in our chairs and we're not active, we're going to leave the same way we came in. That's not the intent of this thing. We're going to learn. We're going to be active. I want you repeating what your brain is telling you so you start internalizing it. You're breaking the nervous system. You're stripping down potentially old school beliefs that potentially don't serve you today. So that's why we're going to do some of that as we progress.
Jeff, when you're going through that, what you're saying, just your vision has to be bigger, badder, crazier. It needs to scare you. It needs to scare, your mom, your wife, your family.
And let me interject to bring it home. I say that it's energetic because there's also this notion of being perfect. We'll never be perfect. And the chase for perfection is exhausting. It's like being on a treadmill that never stops. So I'm saying it in the spirit of energy, of enthusiasm, of fun, of excitement. Building and growing is energizing, maintaining is fatigue.
Yeah. One of the first responses I even have, and I would imagine that, some people in the crowd, they have this as well, is just, fear, those self-limiting beliefs. And so how do we deal with this relationship of fear and self-limiting beliefs? How do we recognize them, and then how do we work through it to overcome them and replace them with other beliefs that serve us and empower us?
Okay, wow, okay. So fear, oof. I think if we were to be honest with ourselves, we face fear every single day. And if we're not facing fear every single day, we should probably chase fear a little bit more. Because the only way we're going to face fear is when we're growing. If we're in the comfort zone, meaning we're insulated and just doing the mundane and life isn't really challenging or we're not trying new things, then there is no fear. And that's called the comfort zone. It's also called your death zone. You don't want to be there. You got to exit that. But usually what happens when we exit comfort is we enter into fear. It's normal. It's a part of life. It's okay. It's not going to go away. So I hear this all the time, and people are like, oh, I just don't want to deal with the politics. That's the stupidest statement you could ever say. The definition of politics, it's the art of the possible. Everything in life is politics. So the same thing goes with fear. Fears in all things. There will always be fear. Thank goodness there's fear, because that means that you're doing something that's different, something that is challenging, something that's outside of your comfort zone. And quite often as human beings, we seek comfort because it's safe. We don't have to do much. We don't have to think. We're idle. But when we do something that's different and that's challenging, fear sets in before we can go into learning. Fear always hits us before the learning curve hits us. And then after you learn, then you can go into growth mode. But it goes like this. I have comfort. I leave my comfort zone. I'm going to hit fear. After fear, then I can start learning. After I learn and start mastery, then I can start growing. But it goes in those layers, and you have to pierce through all those layers. So fear is real. It'll never go away. But we just have to learn to dance with fear. So life is just, it's a waltz. It's a dance with what we want and dealing with the fear that's there. And we have to respect fear and punch it in the mouth and just deal with it on a daily, okay? And then we also need to understand where fear lives. And it lives in only one tense. There's past, there's present, and there's future. The only place that fear lives in is in the future. It does not exist in the past. It does not exist in the present. You feel it in the present tense, you feel it presently, but it has to do with a future event. If you think of anything that you fear, it's all to do with something that's on the other side, meaning it's in the future. Does that make sense what I just said? And that's psychological, that's scientific proven fact, it's not an opinion. Okay, fear only resides in the future. Think of anything that you fear, it's all in the future. I had one guy contest me on that. He says, no, I have PTSD, I'm a vet, so I fear it every single day. I'm like, yeah, you fear a past event, you feel it presently, but it has to deal with something that's going to happen in the future. It's not happening to you right now in this room. I don't see any guns in here. And even when you're in a gunfight, it's with what's going to happen in the future. Am I going to die? In what tense? In the future. So forth and so on. So it's just understanding that we can't control the future. We can't control the past. What can we control? The present. That's the only thing we can control. And I try to focus on what I can control, and I give emotions to what I can control. Because if I give my emotions to other people, and if I allow their opinions of me to dominate me, I'm not going to be authentic. I'm not going to be my own best true self. I'm going to try to mimic whatever life they want me to live so I can please them. There is no glory in being a people pleaser. Now, it doesn't give us a license to be a prick. It's like, I don't care what people think. I'm just going to say and do whatever I want. No, it creates a lot of responsibility. Because when you unlock your authentic true self, that's very responsible and it's very beautiful, but it comes with a lot of responsibility. It's easy to just be a people pleaser because, well, it's not, it's easy because it doesn't unlock all the freedoms, but it's difficult because you won't achieve your potential. Is this all making sense? Yeah, but fear is just, you gotta deal with it. You gotta deal with it. Everybody deals with it. And what happens is, take 2 seconds and think of a hero of yours. Any hero. Some people mention Martin Luther King, some people mention Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, religious figures, etc. Why do we love these individuals? It's because of what they accomplish. We see them at the pinnacle. But did they deal with fear? Yeah, more than most of us. Because in order to achieve that level, they had to really conquer a lot of fears. So I can ask, who's the top salesperson in this room? And it's whoever went through dealt with the most amount of fear and the most amount of rejections. We get paid to get rejected. It's just like in baseball. What's a really good batting average?
300.
So how many times are they failing at the plate? 7 out of 10 times they're failing at the plate. So they get paid to fail. Does that make sense? 7 times you're striking out. 7 times you're getting called out. 3 times you're being successful. But you're willing to deal with the pain. You're willing to embrace the suck. And that's what fear is. Okay?
Thank you. A follow-up question on that. So obviously, when we get inside our heads, fear is just going to stay there. We're not going to work through it. We're not going to.
I'm sorry, I have these thoughts as they go. Another thing with fear is we'll be tempted to we'll be tempted to pray, ask, hey, can you please make life easier for me? Don't pray for that. You don't want that. Pray to become better. Don't pray for it to be easier. Pray for you to be better. Okay? Pray to be stronger because you'll be able to unlock more. There's more for us than we even can begin to comprehend. The world's greatest lie is scarcity. There's so much abundance in this life. Life is so beautiful. Life is so great. But we're being tricked into believing that life is bad, that it's dark, that we should have fear, that we should have doubt, that we should have worry. Like if you turn on CNN, Fox News, any of these media outlets right now, after 30 minutes of straight watching, how do you feel? Do you feel invigorated? Like, yes, CNN I'm so pumped up right now. That stuff, the positive stuff doesn't sell, so it's all clickbait, so be aware of that. But don't believe the lie that the world is scarce. Don't believe the lie that the world is full of evil. There's evil. There's way more good than there is evil. Way more good, and there's never been a better time to be alive. Never. And you have to believe that.
Thank you, Jeff. I got a quick follow-up question on just dealing with fear. Obviously, we stay inside our heads. We're not going to overcome it. And I feel that these leaders you're talking about, a Jeff Bezos, a Martin Luther King Jr., they mastered this art of leading from the heart. And so we know that's important, but can you share just some habits, some rituals that we can get into just on a daily practice so that we're leading from the heart?
Okay, so I don't know For me, it's more about the mindset, because rituals and habits and strategy, it varies from person to person. And for me, sometimes it varies from week to week, month to month, depending on where I am, depending on what I'm dealing with, etc. I mean, there's a mechanism there, but you can shift the mechanism. So I see this so often, but guys will ask, like, top performers, what do you eat for breakfast? It's like, what does that matter? Like, just because that guy eats Lucky Charms doesn't mean that you eating Lucky Charms, now you're going to become that person. So the strategy is not really what is important, it's what your belief system is, right? So for me, it's just constantly training again, does your brain sometimes talk a lot? Do you have to sometimes have to silence the thoughts? There's a saying out there that says, if you get in your head, you're dead, okay? We have to constantly be training the mind and quieting the mind, okay? Again, if we get in our head, we're dead. The brain is designed for survival. The brain is designed for us to say, stop, halt, danger, etc. And thank goodness, that's how our physiology is designed. And then our heart was designed for courage. If you're gonna jump off a cliff, your brain's not gonna tell you, yo, jump off the cliff, it'll be badass. It's your heart that's gonna be like, yo, you got this, let's silence the brain and jump off the cliff because it's gonna be badass. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So when you're leading, you lead from the heart, and then you have to kind of carry the brain along with you, because the brain is designed for survival. It's kind of cold outside, so if I go out in shorts and a tank top, what's my brain going to tell me to do in this type of weather? Go back inside and get covered up. The only thing that can keep me out in the elements is my heart being like, don't be a pansy. You've watched Game of Thrones, those guys deal with the snow all the time. Go for it. So just understanding how to talk to the brain, shutting it down when you need to, getting it to quiet, getting it to just try harder things, and then really unlocking the heart, okay? So it's that balancing act, okay?
You talk about there's so much more good in life than there is evil, and I've observed your life for the last few years, and I feel like you have a lot of wealth in your life, and financial wealth, it's just one small sliver of the wealth that I'm referring to. Great social wealth, spiritual wealth, intellectual wealth, emotional wealth. Can you talk about just prioritizing those things in your life? Because life gets busy. How have you created a design to prioritize each one of those things and keeping the most important things for you?
Yeah, so I'm sure all of us deal with this, but we often say, man, I wish I could do that. Man, I wish I would have thought of that. Man, I wish I would have said hi to that person. I wish I would have invested more in that relationship, or I wish I would have taken that course, or I wish, whatever. So I often tell myself, why can that person do it and not me? Let's go. Like, I find the solutions right here. I don't need somebody else to come in and save the day for me. So just with that mentality and just being a day maker instead of a day breaker and creating more value than I take, I'm just in that position of creation and authority, if you will. Like, I want to learn these things myself. I want to be able to be that person. I want to be the person in the room. I want to be able to share these things. I want to experience these things. Like, I want to have that availability. I want to have that creativity. So I say yes to a lot of things, but the only way I can say yes to things is by saying no to even more things. Because time is limited. It's a limited asset. It's a limited resource. We only have 168 hours every single week. And I look at the week and I say, this week, I own you. It's going to look like this. I'm going to deliver, and I'm the boss. And hours, I own you. You don't own me. And if I get a phone call or something that doesn't suit me, I just eliminate it. I ignore it. And I focus on what's really going to truly create value for me and enhance my human experience, if you will. And then I understand the whole person paradigm. There's 4 quadrants. We went over it: the spiritual, the intellectual, the social, and the physical. And the physical is your body, and your financial state and the whole nine. Your spiritual, so forth and so on. So I try to say, okay, I don't want to be like a basketball player that's just really good at the 3-point shot and terrible at defense. I don't want to be a guy that scores a lot and doesn't assist. Like I want to be a triple double in life. So I want to be really good at all 4 of these categories, because you can be an amazing business person and you're a failure in the home. Like that's not cool. It's not cool. And then if you're an amazing father or mother, but you can't provide to your kids or to your loved ones, that's a tough ask, right? And I'm not saying you have to be a multimillionaire or anything like that, but you have to have enough substance to be able to carry your mission forward so you can affect more people, if that makes sense. So for me, it's always focusing on what I can enhance, and I look at all 4 of those categories on a daily. So I'll look at my barometer and be like, I need more spirituality today. Man, I haven't opened up a book in a couple days or whatever. Let me read. Oh, I haven't reached out to this person. Let me get my social game on. Or let me go out on date night or whatever the case might be, but always paying attention to those categories. Talk to your neighbor and explain the 4 categories. Do you guys know them all? So we have social, which is also emotional. What would that mean? What's that category? What's social emotional? Raise your hand. Okay, don't be shy. Who's got a hand? You already answered. I know you're not shy. Go ahead. Okay, your relationships, and not only your relationship, but relationship with others, but it's your relationship with you, right? You guys are in sales. Who's the toughest sell? I teed it up for you. You. Once you sell you, once you know that you're beautiful and that you're amazing and that you can do whatever it is that you choose to do, you can do anything, you can't do everything, but once you decide I can do anything I choose to do, that I put my time, effort, and energy into, I know I'm gonna dominate, then you sold yourself and you'll believe that. So you gotta sell yourself first and feel comfortable with you. And we all have to understand that we're beautiful. And you have to tell yourself that. It's okay to be narcissistic. Tell yourself every single day, I'm gorgeous, I'm beautiful, I'm amazing, I'm unreal. I can't believe I'm alive. This is so incredible. I've never seen such a beautiful, amazing human being on earth. You have to believe that so that you can serve others. Does that make sense? You don't do it in an egotistical way. You do it in a selfless way. Because the more I have this dialed in, the more selfless I can be. If I don't have this dialed in, I'm going to be selfish because I want more for me because I don't feel full. So we got to fill the tank, get that social and emotional thing right, and then when I'm cool in here, I can be cool with others. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So that social emotional. What's another one? Physical. So talk to me about physical. What do we take care of when we're thinking about the physical paradigm? Okay, bodies, what else? Shelter, food, watch the food we eat, don't eat, our financial circumstance. We got to get all that stuff dialed in. Okay, so we got social, emotional, that's one category. We got physical. What's the third category? Spiritual. Okay, spiritual. So talk to me. What is spiritual? Does it mean going to church? Maybe, but it's beyond that, right? So what would spiritual be? If I'm working on my spiritual well-being, what am I doing? What am I working on? What am I targeting? Could be. Values, principles, relationship with God. I mean, yeah, but again, there's a difference between religion and spirituality. Religion is, let me put it to you this way. Religion is often, hey, I did something wrong, I feel shame. Spirituality is, I did something wrong, I need to talk to somebody that loves me and cares about me. That's spirituality. You see the difference? So spirituality is making sure that the spirit is dialed in, that you feel alive, that you feel well, that you're connected, you know how to breathe, all that good stuff. Okay? What would be the fourth category? And these don't go in any particular order, by the way. What's the fourth category? So intellectual, talk to me. What would we be working on when we're working on our intellectual? It's not school. Again, school is, there's a really cool mental health, yep. So there's a really cool quote by Mark Twain. He says, I never allowed my schooling to get in the way of my education. So just because you go to school doesn't mean you're intellectual. In fact, there's a lot of people that are very quote unquote learned and have a lot of degrees that are not intellectual at all. I never allowed my schooling to get in the way of my education. Make sense? So intellectual is It's what? Let's unpack it a little bit. What can we do to work on our intellectual paradigm? Okay, we work on our mindset. What else? You say sleep? That's actually really brilliant. It's my daughter up here, by the way. Give her a hand. So we gotta sleep to have the mind working right. What else should we work on to get the intellectual dialed in? Okay, really good habits. And then we gotta read a ton. Okay? You know, people that are doing really cool things, they're all avid readers. So we gotta get addicted to reading. Some of us are excited because we graduated high school and like, yes, I never have to read a book again. No, that's not true. Yes, I graduated with my bachelor's degree. I'm putting down all the books. No, it's here. It's with us forever. And my challenge to us would be to read way more than we're reading right now. We got to read. And you will never you got to keep your learning ahead of your earning. So if you want to earn more and contribute more and create more value, you got to learn. You got to learn. Let's not be lazy with our learning. Okay? Those are the 4 categories. Talk to your neighbor and tell your neighbor what you just learned. Okay, so now let's bring it to the group. Raise your hand and share what you learned thus far. Don't be shy. Again, we're trying to figure out how to not let fear. Imagine if we could unlock all our fears, what we could do, what we could achieve. Right? And don't worry what other people think of you is none of your business. You shouldn't care what people think about you. It's none of your business. It's their own thoughts and feelings and opinions. They're entitled to it. It's okay. What?
So, one thing I learned was just keeping the why big, so your house is very easy to go through your life.
Okay, I heard you just a little bit. Say it again.
She told me to say it. The bigger the why, the easier the how. I really like that. Just like
Okay, so
vision.
unpack it for me. So it's a cool quote, but tell me what it means to you now that you've heard it.
What it means to you is like, as we keep a big vision, then we'll continue in that direction. If we don't have that big vision, then we kind of don't know where to go and don't have the goals to persevere in that direction. But if you have that vision, then the steps of how just kind of they make sense as you go through.
Yeah, I love it. That's brilliant. It's so beautiful. And vision is a daily thing. Like, my advice is, before you go to bed at night, look at how the day went, and then go to bed knowing what tomorrow's going to look like. Pretty dialed in. It doesn't have to be perfect, but at least you know what tomorrow should look like. Again, either you own the day or the day owns you. Okay? Heroes, we write our stories at the beginning of the day, not at the end of the day. If you write your story at the end of the day, it's like, woe me, this happened to me, the day owned me. When you write your story at the beginning of the day, you're owning the day. You're the architect of the day. You're the author of the day. Does that make sense? And vision is a very, imperative piece of that. Okay? Another hand. That's brilliant. Another hand. No wrong answers here. Go for it. If you don't mind standing so I can hear you.
One thing that I learned that I'm going to apply is before you can give to others, before you can be that leader, you have to be around yourself first, and you have to make sure that you are socially and emotionally there and present and knocking it out of the park before you can go in and influence others.
So the only thing I would probably switch is that preposition, before. You don't need it before. You can do it as you go. Because if you wait, if you put the before in there, it's probably a non-starter, if that makes sense. So just go for it and keep evolving, keep growing, keep creating the vision, and all that stuff will come together. That's brilliant. Thank you. Okay, 2 more. Go for it.
I love when you said, instead of praying for easier route, just pray for strength. And I'm a big believer of faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
So I'm just really big on, just instead of praying for answers, to just guide me in the way that, I can receive answers on my own and learn on my own.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Okay, 1 more. Appreciate this. Don't be shy, guys. Let's go. I should have 50 hands up. Let's go. And thanks for bringing a reflective jacket. That way I can really, truly see you.
Fear only exists in the
Beautiful.
We get stuck too much thinking that like, anxiety and everything else that can really overtake our outlook. It's based on things we can't control, so we can't.
Yeah, it's just crazy. We put so much emphasis, because as human beings, it's a lot easier to say, I'm not responsible, than it is for us to admit, oh, I'm irresponsible. But if we just focus on what we can control, then life is a lot better because it's on us. We're not dependent on what other people are doing or waiting for phone calls or, no, like, I just don't have time for that. I can't control when that's gonna occur. I know that life happens for me, not to me, so I'm gonna make it happen. I mean, I'm gonna do it with people on the way, but when we get disenfranchised, it's when we're expecting a certain result from people and we don't get that exact same result that we expected from that person, and that's when we become disenfranchised. So I'm not saying don't expect stuff from people, I'm saying do, but I expect a lot more out of me and what I can contribute than anybody else, because it's what I can control. And you know, there's the Pareto principle. What's the ratio of the Pareto principle? 80-20. I give it an extra 10 points. So I say 90% of what happens to me is on me. 10% is outside circumstances. So if the ratio is 90, I'm focused on the 90. Because this 10%, it's almost inconsequential. It is what it is. Like so many people, oh, the economy, the market, the Democrats, the Republicans, you know, all these crazy things. You know what, guys? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. Didn't we think the world was going to end with COVID? Did we not think the world was going to end with Y2K? Did we not think the world was going to end during the 08 crisis? Did we not think the world was going to end on 9/11? Like, life is going to happen, but let's focus on the 90%. Let's be doers, okay? Let's be people that contribute. Let's be people that add value. Let's be that group. Let's be that person, okay? The solutions are right here. The answers are right here. We have all the tools necessary to do the things that we need to do. We can figure things out, okay? Do we need people on the way? Do we need help? Absolutely. But before we ask for that help, let's go, let's do. And let's help as many people on the way as we can.
Thank you, Jeff. Got a couple more questions before we wrap this up and open it up to Q&A. So I just had shoulder surgery last week, and so I've had some time to kind of slow down and just think about what's most important in life. And so I do want to get a little deep here, not that we haven't already gotten deep, but Mendez, you've lived an amazing, beautiful life. And so I want to ask you, like, what moments, what experiences, what in your life up to this point has been the most meaningful and purposeful for you?
Okay, so what's the most meaningful? Man, I don't even know how to begin. I don't know if I can answer like one event, but you know, anybody that knows me, you know what my response is. It's going to be my family, right? And you know, and I get emotional. But life's biggest blessing is family. So if I were to answer the question, you know, it's, you know, all these things, you know, you can get accolades, certificates, degrees, none of that stuff matters. I mean, it helps unlock some potential. It gives maybe more opportunity, but for me, life's greatest blessing is family. And family goes beyond, for me, it goes beyond like my wife, my kids, my parents, you know. I have a lot of deep relationships with some of the people in this room. I try to treat my friends just like family, and, you know, and I'm grateful that I have friends that have my back and that I can, you know, create experiences with. And for me, that's everything. That's like life's greatest blessing. So if you were to ask me what my number one accomplishment is, I mean, I have 5 gorgeous kids that, you know, are the best kids I could ever have. And then is my wife here? Did she make it? Yeah, so my wife as well, obviously. And yeah, that's for me, that's the greatest thing that I could ever have. And, you know, I'd give up everything just to have my family. Everything. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Family.
Thank you, Jeff. That's beautiful.
And I think probably my challenge would be is, you know, do you need to reach out to somebody right now? You know, hopefully there's some triggers that have gone off saying, man, I need to reach out to my mom, my dad, my cousin, my wife, my kids. I haven't talked to them in a while. I haven't expressed how much I love them. Do it now. Don't postpone it. Be grateful for the relationships you have before they become what you had. So like embrace the moment, spend the time. You can never overdo a relationship. Just give so much. You give till it hurts and it'll never hurt. Just give, okay? And again, the best gift we can give somebody is acknowledge and just being present, okay? So when you guys go on date nights, whatever, throw the phone in the car, leave it there, just do the date night thing. When you're having a conversation, eye contact, don't listen to respond, listen to understand, like just be all in, play full out, and we'll all be able to grow from that, okay?
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, last question I'm going to ask, and then we're going to take 3 questions from the crowd. Jeff, so you've had an incredible career, you've had an amazing run, and there's so many more amazing, incredible things that you're going to do. For people that are just beginning their careers, they want to have impact, they want to make a change in the world, they want to live with purpose and vision. What's the key piece of advice that you're going to give them? If you could give yourself one piece of advice and go back, what would it be?
Okay, let me make sure I understand your question. So in regards to what specifically? Are you talking more like career or just life in general?
Life in general. Let's do life and then let's do career.
So let me answer it this way. So life, career, it should be all intertwined. And if you don't feel like what you're doing on a daily is really satisfying who you are as a human being, you probably need to pivot out. Because quite often we take a paycheck or we take a salary or whatever, and it's just clipping our feathers. It's clipping our wings. So I would just understand that business, life, it's all harmony. Because we're spending 40 plus of those 168 in our jobs. And nowadays it's even more because we've taken the job home. So I would just make sure that what you do on a daily is aligning with what you really want out of life. And I'm not, like, this could sound theoretical, but it's very practical. Like, we can do it. There's a lot of resources out there where we can focus and do what we love doing, and we can monetize on it. Do we sometimes have to embrace the suck? Yeah, it's just part of it. Like, if everything was easy, life wouldn't be fulfilling. But I would just align myself, with what you really want to accomplish, and then money's always going to come up when we're asking that question, right? Because money's just a part of life, and it's okay. And money, for me, it's a reflection of the amount of value you've been able to create for other people. It's a scorecard. And money doesn't just come in like old dead presidents. It's in relationships. So let's say I want to take a trip to Peru. I want to be able to have networks and friends that can help guide me through that Peruvian experience. And when I land in Peru, I can maybe have some friends that pick me up and they can host and we can have a good time together. So that's also money. Even though they're not paying me, they're paying me through that experience and through the opportunity of having a really cool, authentic trip, if that makes sense. I'm not being paid here to be here tonight, but we've shared enough relationships and experiences when I'm coming here to share value with Nathaniel. You know, I might invite him, to an outing or a retreat or something just because I'm paying back, and you don't expect anything from it. But that's, again, a monetary exchange without dead presidents coming back and forth. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So if you're chasing the normal definition of money, that's all you're going to find is that. And it's very dissatisfying and it's very empty. So don't ever chase the money. Chase and create the value, and the monetary piece will take care of itself. It always will. Focus on what you can control, which is your opportunity to create value. So maybe let me hit home on that. We've thrown that word around quite a bit. What does it mean to create value? Somebody raise your hand. Should be 50 hands right now. Raise your hand. What does value creation mean?
There might be a void, someone needs something to fix that void.
Okay, finding a void, helping to fill that void. What other definitions could we bring to the group? Go ahead. Giving somebody something that they want, okay? And we've heard this before. If we can help enough people get what they want, we will always have what we want, okay? One more definition of value creation. Go ahead. You're creating opportunities. You're creating opportunities for you, other people, and you come together and it's a bigger piece of pie, right? But every day you should wake up and say, how can I create more value today? How can I create more value for my kids, for my mom, for my dad, for my coworkers, for my company, for my installers, for the homeowners, just for everybody? What can I do to create more value? What can I do to enhance today? If your first thought in the morning is, how can I make $1? Or how can I make myself wealthier or richer? It's a dead end. Focus on the value creation, the rest will come. I promise you, that's how it works. Okay? Again, the secret of life is giving, it's not receiving. Okay? Happiness is the hunger to give.
A raffle, and after the raffle, we will have pictures to the back or here to the left. But let's get 2 questions from the audience. Yeah, question.
Jeff, you mentioned that you do priming and you prime your mind and you think about your vision and everything every day. What do you have, like a certain process or system that you do to keep all of your focuses together and prime yourself? Do you do Tony Robbins priming, or what is that?
Yeah, so you can do that one. There's a lot of other ones. You can YouTube priming and get a whole bunch of different ideas of best practices. Again, there's strategy and then there's the reason why. There's the purpose. So focus on the purpose, but it's essentially this. Take 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It's really good to either have the priming exercise playing in the background or some sort of music that shuts down the brain, quiets the brain, and allows the heart to kind of take over. And then I just start jotting down my top 10 goals of the day, which can also be the week, year, etc. But 10 things that really matter to me, and then a stream of consciousness. And I'll say stuff like, you're amazing, you're beautiful, life is a gift, you're a light, people love you, people love being around you, I love you, my heart is beautiful, I'm so glad I have a heart. Just all these things that just make you feel full and ready. And then once you're done with that, the whole strategy behind it, the whole why behind it, is you feel ready to attack the day. Because if I go out and I start having, meetings and hardships or dealing with the kids and missing school or whatever, and you're not primed, it's really tough to take on those, those daily events, if you will. So Brian Tracy talks about it. He talks about the notion of swallowing a frog every day. Has anybody here swallowed a frog before? Okay, why not? Because it sucks, right? So he says you should swallow a frog, because if you swallow a frog, everything else is awesome. So it's the notion of swallowing a frog. And he says do that at the beginning of the day, and then your day will be awesome. Some people also reference Everest. You want to climb Everest at the beginning of the day. That way when hard things come about in the mid-afternoon, late afternoon, evening, they're easy. So some people will do an ice bath, cryotherapy, really tough workout, go on a run, because it's something physical, something that got you going, got the endorphins popping. It's hard, and now you're ready to go conquer the day. So it's either priming or doing a crazy exercise or a combination of the two, and then you're ready for the day. So that would be how I would tell you what I do. Yep. If you're waking up, rolling out of bed, and just kind of like behind the day, your day already owned you. They won. You can chalk that one off as day. You won this one. This was the W column. That's you. That's not me. I got the L today. So I want to get up, do my thing, prime it, get ready, exercise, do the right thing. Boom. Let's go. I got this. And that's every day. But do it in a way where it's energizing and you don't feel like, oh, life sucks. I have to do all these stupid priming and this is exhausting. No, it should be something that exhilarates. Okay? So whatever gets you primed is what works for you. Some people hate Tony Robbins. Some people hate doing ice baths. I'm from Puerto Rico. I don't want to be in an ice bath. Hell no. That'd be like, Day, you just beat me if you cause me to have to do an ice bath. But something along those lines that works for you. Customize it for you. Okay?
Thank you, Jeff. Davin.
So, you were the VP of Vivint. You built giant teams, created thousands of reps, and you built a ton of value for all these people. And I'm sure that all those guys also had, leaders in other organizations, whatever, that were trying to build value for them, but they saw so much value in you, they, wanted to work with you on these things. How do you, what advice do you have on how to build an organization that big and that influential, like to spread your influence to so many people and hold on to them too?
Okay, no, that's a beautiful question. Did you guys hear that? So what do you do to scale an organization and have people that you're leading grow, and how do you scale? Essentially is the question, right? Oof. I mean, I could spend a week going over this with you. So I have a lot of different answers. A practical answer for that specifically, I don't believe in managing people at all. In fact, I think it's impossible. I think you can lead people. Well, I know you can lead people. Like we talked about, opening question is leadership is influence, nothing less, nothing more. But I know that if I'm going to have a lot of people in my organization, I have to be systematic with it. I have to have a system that works. So I build a system and then I manage that system. And if I can manage that system, then I can lead the people in that system. So, I mean, you guys more specifically talking about direct sales, you guys want quick installs, you want good value propositions, you want good culture, you want good comp plans, good long-term incentive plans, you want cool swag, you want a lifestyle, you want freedom, you want upward mobility, you maybe want to be a part of a company that's going to have some sort of liquidity event at some point so you can monetize, on the long term outside of the LTIP. So I took all these things together, and then I'm just orchestrating a good system that I can plug a ton of people in, where this is the best option for them. I'm putting people in their highest and best use of their time. And then the more sophisticated my system, the more sophisticated results we can get. And the more sophisticated my system, the more people I can throw in that system. Because all systems are perfectly designed to get the results we want to get. So if I have a sophisticated system, sophisticated results. If I have a lax system, lax results. So if I want my guys on doors early, I'm creating incentives and systems to get them on doors early. If I need frequency of door time, I run a summer program or a 10-20 program or a blitz program where it's, a week a month, and it's like hell or high water, we're going to hit these marks. And all those different ingredients, you're putting them together to put people in the best situation to win. And then I take accountability over everything. And I don't know if you guys have read Good to Great, but it's out the window in the mirror principle. But I tried my hardest when things were going right. I look out the window, applaud the people that did it. When something goes wrong, I'm looking at myself in the mirror. There's nothing more disenfranchising when a leader takes credit for the efforts of the team. Like, you give your team all the glory. You don't, as a leader, you should not worry about any of the glory. Don't make it about you. If you make it about you, you won't have a team. You won't have a business. You won't have scale. Make it about the people, if that makes sense. Hopefully that answers your question, but I can unpack it for another week plus because it's a massive topic. And then I guess I'll end that I guess I'll finish your question with this answer. Man, got to train my brain, got to silence it. I lost my train of thought. But listen, I think it's also, as a leader, just making sure that you're progressing and that you're investing in your mechanism, but also in you. Because it's the level 5 leader and also good to great. So so 1 is the lowest, level 5 is the highest. So if I'm a level 2, who can I recruit into my organization? I can recruit 1s, and there's another category, 1s and 2s, right? If I'm a 1, can I recruit a 5? I can maybe get him in the building, but I'm not retaining that asset. I'm not retaining that human asset. The only way I can recruit and retain 5s is if what? If I'm a 5, okay? If I'm a top level. So I always knew if I want to have leadership and I want to have influence, which is the same thing, I need to do as many accounts as everybody else. And I'm going to do it in the highest fashion possible. So if my company requires me to get activation fees and have no attrition and have a great pull-through rate, I'm doing all those KPIs. I'm not sacrificing anything, because when you look at my book of business, it's transparent, it's clean, it's dialed in. Come at me, do an inventory. You're not going to find any skeletons in here. When you're recruiting up and up, like, all those things matter, if that makes sense. And then I would tell myself, I want to recruit 5s. I'm going to go get more education. I'm going to go to more seminars. I'm going to pound more doors. I'm going to recruit in more scenarios, because I got to invest in me. Hopefully that makes sense.